Welcome to the Crack of Dawn. I'm Dawn Lombardi, and the crack is back. It's been 9 years since I've seen you all. I've been busy changing diapers, raising kids, and all of that stuff. And now I'm back, and I'm so excited to teach you how to paint again. So, you might not have a canvas ready for the first episode, but I should have guests on, and as you keep watching, you can go out and you can get a canvas, and I will prep you for the next show, and then you can be prepared. And you really don't need a lot, and you don't need any experience. It's so easy. So, my first guest today is a tribute to the wonderful Bob Ross. I love Bob. I grew up with him in the 70s, Worldwide Wrestling and Guiding Light. Oh my God, I loved it. And he made it look so easy. So I thought, you know what, I've been painting for 25 years. Let me try a Bob Ross painting. So my 11-year-old daughter and I, we sat down, we tried a Bob Ross painting. It was pathetic. He's so good, I can't even believe it. And he uses oil paint only, and he uses no turpentine, except to clean the brush. So even though he makes it look so easy, someone said, you know what, Dawn, forget Bob Ross. He's a legend, do your own thing. So I thought, you know what, let's do a cupcake. I paint cupcakes all the time, and they're so cute and they're so fun, which is why you want to do a cupcake on a little painting. Nobody's going to spend all this money on a big painting of a cupcake. Some people might if they have a big, huge kitchen. But a cupcake is super easy. So I went to CVS, and I looked at the Hostess cupcakes, and they looked a little like maybe old and kind of not puffy. So then I went to Highland Park Market, and for a couple bucks more, I got this beautiful cupcake that looks just like a Hostess cupcake. And I thought, you know what, let's do that. So here's the cupcake. It's actually sitting on a piece of canvas. Sometimes people want to do a background of a color. I didn't do that right now because I didn't think it would have time to dry. But I have this color here that's like a Tiffany blue. And if you mix that with a little bit of white, do a background color, and then you can put your cupcake over it. Today we're using acrylic paint. Okay, so nobody's going to be flying high on the scene because there's no turpentine involved and no lead paint. So it's just acrylic paint. I have different colors that I've chosen, and I keep all of my paint in a Goodwill suitcase left over from the 70s that was $6. It holds all my paint. I carry that around. I have a disposable palette, which, as you can see, when you're done, you just rip the whole thing off and throw it into the trash can. It's so easy. So what I have here is, first you need your cupcake, but you don't need to go buy a cupcake. But you know what, if you want to act fancy artist style, go get the cupcake. It's called a still life. I did it all in college, except people were naked, still lifes. So now I love painting the cupcake because I don't have to worry about all that. So what you do is you find the colors of the cupcake. So I see a little bit of Naples yellow, which is basically just a yellowish, brownish white. And then I have this yellow ochre, which is also like a burnt sienna, same thing. It's like a lighter brown. And then I have a dark brown. Everybody says, oh, is it burnt umber? Is it whatever? As long as it looks brown, just throw it on the canvas. It doesn't, on the palette. Then I have white because we need to make that frosty cupcake style thing on the top. So what first you want to do is you want to draw the cupcake. And normally I would use a pencil because the Sharpie is fantastic, but you can't really go over it. It always shows through. So it always looks a little cartoony, which is fine. It's great. But I want you to be able to see the drawing. So I'm going to do it with a Sharpie instead of a pencil. At home I would use a pencil. And basically I'm looking at my cupcake now. My cupcake, all it is a circle. Does it have to be perfect? No. These people that bake, they don't know how to measure everything like that. They can do the ingredients, but no, it doesn't need to be perfect. And you can do it a couple times if you don't think your cupcake's perfect. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. I actually did sort of like an egg, like an oval. And then what you do is you do here, on one side you go down, and then on the other side you go down, in, and then you just do a smiley face like this. Not one of these, but one of these. Just a nice smile. Then what you want to do is you want to make zigzags because this is your cupcake thing that holds, and you don't have to be fancy. Look, I'm kind of shaking here, but there we go. And then you have to take these things and bring them down. Remember, you're going to be doing it in pencil, so you won't see such a drastic line, but I want people to see how to do the cupcake. Now here, my cupcake is on a blank canvas, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it look like it's on some sort of shelf. And if you can't draw a straight line, use a ruler, but I can kind of go like this and pretend that I know where it is. And then if I'm looking here, there's a shadow, but we don't have to worry about that till later. The shadow sort of goes like that, because the light's coming this way, shining on the cupcake, and it's just so easy. Now, I'm gonna start with the paint. Everybody says, oh my gosh, what kind of brush should I buy? Well, if you're rich, you go to Dick Blick. Not saying it's overpriced, it's just fantastic material. So when I get a very good commission or something like that, I usually generally buy my things there. Especially it's an expensive canvas and expensive stuff, but it's all reasonable and it's all fine. But if you're poor, like me, because I'm not a famous artist yet, I go to AC Moore. I love Ocean State Job Lot, which I buy a lot of things there, including half of my wardrobe. And it's fantastic. I just say it's from the OSJL collection and nobody has any idea. It's so great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a brush that I'm comfortable with. And I know this is kind of a big brush. Everybody has their certain brushes that they like better. This is it's called a flat brush just because it's sort of flat looking. And then my husband works at Pittsburgh Paints in Norwalk, so he brings home these rags for me. Hopefully he buys them. And then I use these to dab my paint on, just right here on the easel. So what I'm gonna do, and again, you could do a background color. I might add one if we have time at the end, but normally do your background before your foreground because it's much easier and then you don't have to overlap. So what I'm gonna do, and I have my red Solo cup, I would have gone fancier, but I didn't have time, and I just love these darn things, don't you? So great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start by taking this chocolatey color, and the more water you use, the more watery it's going to be. And since I'm doing a painting on an easel, it could drip. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna throw in that color. And you know what? People say, oh, it's lighter here and darker there. Perfect. The minute I make the cupcake the same color, the whole cupcake that color, now there's no light. So I have light coming along. I have a little white there, what I'll put on later, and I've got darker here, and that looks about right. I love it. So now I'm going to take a little bit of white and mix it with my dark brown, and I'm going to start putting these in. And if you go beyond that, it's just water-based. You can go like this. Don't be nervous if you make mistakes like this. It's very easy to take the cloth, dip it into the water, and just erase. Done. And then the other thing is paint is like makeup. You'll notice my Chanel lipstick, it's caked on, but it looks so good on the camera. Otherwise, I would look terrible, really. So what I do is I take the white with a little bit of this brown, and I just make these lines in here. And then again, my smiley face on the bottom. While I'm at it, and I have this light brown, may as well make the shadow. I mean, why not? So I'm gonna put in that shadow. And the closer the shadow is to the cupcake, the darker it will be. So I'll just do that. Okay, so that part's done. And then I see some of this yellow ochre because this is the color of the cake that's under the frosting. So I'm gonna get a different brush here. And you know, you'll see that I have all these brushes here. You don't need 1,000 brushes. I usually do the entire painting with one brush. Another thing that's fantastic is a palette brush. Now, if you don't have a palette brush, go into your silverware drawer, grab a butter knife, and you can do a cupcake painting with the whole butter knife. So this is great because you just frost with the palette knife. So I can go back and I can make it look very gloppy, like that. And I can take another thing, just like this. Look at all that glop. I love glop. I think it looks gorgeous. Beautiful, look at that. Glopping it on, gorgeous glop. Beautiful, shiny cupcake. And it sort of is just like frosting a cake. And it really won't go anywhere. The oil paint really won't go anywhere. And it's beautiful. Look at that, big, luscious cupcake, gorgeous. I'm not a sweets person, but I love salt, which is why my high blood pressure medicine takes care of that instantly, thank God. But I know a lot of my friends love cupcakes, sweets, all that stuff. So again, I was talking about this yellow ochre color, which is right here. And this is sort of the color of the cake that's made with the baking part. So I mix this with a little white, and I try to get something that looks, cupcakey looking, like, when you make your golden cake. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to put it like along the bottom here, so it looks like there's some different cake going on under there. And again, it's whoops, I made a mistake there, but no big deal. Happy little mistakes, Bob. So I made a happy little mistake, but I'm just going to fix it, and I'm not going to worry about it. And I can go back in with this, and I can also go back in and put these pointy things that kind of make the cupcake look like it's on a cupcake little paper thing that you use. So after I'm done with that, I'm just going to go back and be a little bit neater. You can kind of go back. You can take a smaller brush. There's lots of brushes you can use. But the more you're picky about the brushes that you're using, the more of you're not going to be loose. You want to paint very loose, and don't worry. If I took a time and painted a cupcake in an hour, it might look better than 1.5 an hour. But I just like to do them quick, and sometimes I do a few at a time. And sometimes I'll do them a little bigger, but not too much bigger. So I have that done, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this Naples yellow with a little bit of white, and I'm going to put in a little of that just to highlight. I'm going to take a little of the ochre too, mix that together, maybe a little more. I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to put in a little bit more cake stuff going on in there. So that's what I'm going to do there. And then, since we might have some more time, because these cupcakes come together so quickly, I could add another cupcake in the background, but I think I'm just going to do one today. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to I think I'm going to do the colored background, because I think we're going to have time. So again, I'm going against my own rules, but sometimes you don't want the background color to be perfectly white. So I'll take a big glob of white and put it over here. This is why these canvases or these palettes are so great. Sometimes they have a hole in the middle where you can stick your thumb through it. It's very easy to hold it. Because when I'm painting outside and the wind blows, this entire thing blows and falls over on the other half, and it's just a big nightmare. So, you can get used to it. You can also take little clips and clip them down if you're in the wind working outside like I am a lot. I'm going to take a teeny bit of this because this color is just too strong for me. I don't really love it that that dark. So I'm just going to lighten it up a little. Now I've got like a nice kind of fresh blue. Now again, I would have done this before, but I'm doing it later. So I'll just have to be really careful. And there's really no way to do things. A lot of times people, when I went to college, as you remember, I used to say I wasn't allowed to use black. And I'd say, why? The thing's black. How come I can't use black? And the professors, oh, well, we don't do that way. We don't use black. You have to figure out how to make black. And I think to myself, well, how do you make black? That's crazy. So we'd all use like dark ultramarine blue, and we'd mix it with some of this brown color from my cupcake. And we'd figure out how to make something really dark, but it really wasn't really black. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to put those there. And for anybody that has nothing to do on the next month, the Junior Women's, I think it's called the Hartford Junior Women's League. And what they do is they get this big mansion that's gorgeous. It's in West Hartford on Waterside Lane, 126. And they have 20 decorators. I don't know how to decorate. I don't let decorators in my house. And I'm very embarrassed how I decorate because I'm horrible at it. But they decorate, and then I put up my paintings. So it's so fun. And there's cupcakes all over the house, which is great. $30 to get in, and you get some great ideas of how to decorate, which I still can't decorate. I'm lousy at it. So I'm trying to go around there without getting that brown onto my thing, which is why you should always put the color down first. Let it dry. If you've ever been to Scene Art Bar or Muse, any of those painting places, they have hair dryers. I don't use hair dryers with my paintings, but it certainly works. So I'm putting this nice color down here, and then I'll probably have to have another color on the bottom. Which color will I pick? I don't really know. So I think I'm going to make it up now. I think I'm going to use a whitish brown. So I'm going to take a lot, because I got a lot of white on here anyway. So I'll take the white, and I'll mix it with some brown, and I'm getting in this kind of gray, which is a great color for just a counter that maybe the cupcake is on. So I'm going to take that, put that there. And again, I've been painting for years. And I love it. You can find my stuff all over the place. I have a beautiful painting at the Farmington driving range. And I painted it outside, and it got so bad that the painting was just terrible. So what did I do? I added Adam Sandler with a hockey stick and Shooter, what's his name? Shooter McGavin, I think his name is. Now the painting's fantastic. So it's like it was boring before. So you can add things into your painting, and it makes it so much better. So you can say, oh, you know what? I don't like this color that I just put here. It doesn't make my cupcakes look good. You can always change it. And again, you can see my Sharpie coming through, but it's not so bad. So now, always paint the sides of your canvas. You know, everybody, when I frame my paintings, people always say, how much is it without the frame? And I think to myself, oh, good God, I already went through the trouble of framing it, spent all this money, and then they want to know how much it is without the frame. So here's the trick. Take the thing, paint the sides, and then it goes right on the wall, and it kind of creates like a 3D effect. It brings you right around to the painting. So much fun, and it looks gorgeous, gorgeous. Again, I'm trying to get rid of my Sharpie, which is hard to do, but I wanted people to see how to do it. So do that, and then I'll paint the side of this one. Okay, and then the top, I forgot to do it. While you have the color mixed, paint the side. Because look, I got to go back, and I have to do the whole darn thing over. So not a big deal. I'll just paint the side. And then some lucky person here will get the nice cupcake to take home with them for their gorgeous kitchen. Now this is fun. You can use the palette knife to do the frosting. But I came up with this great way, and I hate to give away my secrets. Just hate it. But I'm going to give away my secrets. So you go to Walmart. This whole thing is about, it's a disposable whatever. People that bake will know what this thing is. I don't know what it is. I think it's called a pastry bag. But it's a disposable one. It's not the ones they do cannoli in the Mazzucato Bakery, which I love. Reno, I love the whole staff there. So what you do is you waste a whole pile of your paint, but so what? I get a good white. Oh, you know what? I kind of probably wouldn't do it white. I might mix this with a little of the brown because it really isn't all that white, but I'm going to do it white just because it's easier. I'm going to take this white, and I'm going to shove this into my pastry bag. I'm going to put a lot in. Hopefully it doesn't drip. It usually doesn't. Now, you can get your paint at Ocean State Job Lot too, but a lot of my students, so I teach at the Bristol Senior Center. Hello, Eleanor. And we get a lot of paint at Ocean State, and I hear a lot of people saying, oh, it's runny, it's not that good. And I tell them, well, then go to Dick Blick or go somewhere else if you don't like something. So that's what I tell people. So you put that in there, and then I test it out first to make sure it's going to work. And it looks perfect. Giving away my secret, but it's perfect. Sometimes at my cameras, I hope I can put it on the ground so that you can see. Now, if I do this on the easel, it might not come out good. So I'm going to put it on here. Is that okay? I hope so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it like this. I hope you can see. If not, I'll hold it up when it's done. And it won't take that long to dry. I was actually contemplating mixing this with Elmer's glue, because then it would be like hard right away. And my daughter makes slime all day long. So anyway, I'm just going to use it straight. What I'm going to do, they say that a Hostess cupcake has 8 of those little things, but I didn't know that until someone said, oh, the Hostess cupcake has 8 of them, not 5. And I thought, oh, well, I didn't know. Now I know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend I'm at Highland Park Market frosting the cake. Sorry about the hair. There we go. And I'm just going to put that right on there. Look at that. Unbelievable. So I should have done 2 cupcakes because now I have a whole bunch of paint left over, but I'm just going to save this. When I go home, I'm going to make another cupcake, and it'll be perfect. So now we have our cupcake, and what I can do is I can hold that up. I don't think it's going to drip, but you can see how it looks 3-dimensional immediately. Did I do it exactly the way I wanted? Not so much, but I love it. And then what you do is signing the painting. Signing the painting's kind of tough. I'm just going to do that because you know what? I'm thinking that the cupcake is just going to be fine standing up. If it starts to droop, then somebody's going to have a very droopy cupcake. Now, when I sign my name, it's very important not to say, by Dawn, or whatever. You want to sound sort of fancy, and you want to sound like you're, you know, kind of an exceptional artist. So the way I sign my paintings, I've always signed them this way. I sign them Nolan, which is my maiden name, and Lombardi. And so I call it Nolan Lombardi. Everybody thinks I'm a man, and it kind of works out great. And I'm not really bitter about that kind of stuff. I just run with it, because you know what? Who cares? So if people say, oh, is Nolan here? I say, oh, no, he's not here right now, but he'll be available. How much, what painting do you want to buy? So I don't really care at all. I just run with it, and I'm going with it. So when you're signing your painting, a great way to sign is you can just sign right into the paint with a pencil, like this. Nolan. I do it very messy, and my dad always says, how come you draw it so messy? Nobody can tell your name. And I say, Dad, I want it to look fancy. I don't want it to look like a fourth grader that's trying to spell their name on the bottom. So I do it fancy. I do it just how I type, you know, I would write out a check or something. I always put the date. And I really don't think I need to sign it with a brush. But if you are signing with a brush, you get a really skinny one like this, and you dip it into the water. And then when you sign it, you don't want it too drippy, and I don't want it too brown, because then it'll take away from my cupcake. So I'm going to mix a little of that with a little white, test it out, and then I would take it and I would try to go over my name like this, but not taking a lot of time on it. As long as people recognize your signature. Vincent van Gogh, he wrote Vincent on all his paintings. Monet wrote Monet. Some people wrote different things. John Singer Sargent, I believe, wrote J.S. Sargent, not sure. But you don't want to write by Pam. You know, it looks like you're not serious. So you put a fancy thing, and then if you say, oh, that didn't really come out good, you can always do this. And signing a painting is a really big deal for me. So sometimes that's fine for me, but let me just show you how easy it is to erase it. Dip it in the water, and you can just wipe it right off very easily. So I can do that. Then I can go back, because signing's a big deal. My seniors always say, Dawn, you know, what's this big deal? And I'm like, it is a big deal. You're ending your painting. You got to sign it nice. You can't make it look yucky. So I can take that color again, throw that in there. I'm going to try to go over. I'm going to grab the palette one more time. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to go over the Sharpie. Again, the more water you use, the more transparent the Sharpie will become. So if I use more paint, I might be able to get rid of some of that Sharpie. Maybe. Okay? You could do this 1,000 times until you think it looks perfect. But people really like these cupcakes. They think they're so cute. And you can do one very quickly. And I would recommend to get a cupcake, because it makes it more fun, and then you can eat it at the end. But I prefer the cheese and crackers myself. So we'll put that in there and try to erase that Sharpie if I can. And then I'm just going to go in with the pencil, because like I said, if I go in with the pencil and I just sign it just like I'm signing a checkbook, I think it looks fancier. I like it like that. So here we go. We have a beautiful cupcake done. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 1. And then they make wonderful gifts. Instead of going over to your friend's party with a bottle of wine or a cheese platter or something that somebody else made, you just bring your cupcake, and then they have a little cupcake. They can put it in their pantry. They can put it in anywhere you want. And it really doesn't take up a lot of room. And if you've noticed on television, the decorating shows, they'll have a lot of paintings hanging on one wall, all different sizes, all different things. So that's how you do a cupcake. Go out, don't waste your money on some big fancy pastry bag. Just go to Walmart, get it, and never worry about wasting paint. Because as my professors always said, better than trying to bend down, get your thing out, and putting more paint on, just leave it. And if you cover this with saran wrap, it'll hit some of the top of it, but if you cover it, it will be perfect. So I hope you had fun with The Crack of Dawn. Again, The Crack is back. We're going to do a lot of episodes. Next episode, I have a special guest, and I'm hoping to get some really good people on here. Gino Ariema, please change your mind. We'd love to have you on the show. I understand you're recruiting, but we need some people on, and I would love it. Anybody. I love people promoting their business. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be a movie star. You just come on, paint with me. I would absolutely love it. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm so happy that Bob was here with us to see. One of these days, maybe I'll try a Bob Ross show, and we'll test it out. And thank you so much. Have a great night. I love it.